Wow. Wow. What an adrenaline rush of an episode this was. Most of this episode is a very large scale battle, and it's just as exciting and high stakes as the battles in the movies. This episode definitely shows where the budget is, because this was just so fantastic. This was probably the most engaged I've been with this show. And, battles aside, because you can't just have battles the entire episode. Because if you did that, you'd get Hobbit 3, and that's why Hobbit 3 isn't good, is because it's a 3-hour battle movie, so they do slow down. It's not like the entire episode is action. Most of it is, but, the way they build the characters this episode, they also have the villain, they give him a really interesting backstory. And we learn more a little bit about the villain's backstory. It's really cool because he was essentially a prototype of an orc. More specifically, he was an elf that Morgoth, who we still haven't met, but this unseen villain Morgoth, he sort of corrupted this elf and made him sort of like an orc. And so the villain is doing all this because he believes it's what's best for his family. And just the idea of an elf who was basically corrupted to be an orc, that is really cool to me. That's a really cool backstory. And I really liked the bonding between Galadriel and Halbrand in this episode. They work really well as a duo, and hey, it looks like they're either A, gonna end up together, or B, one of them's gonna die. Because that's the only way this is gonna play out. One of them's gonna die, or they're gonna end up together. So, take bets on anything's gonna die. But, wow, the action in this episode was insanely well choreographed. So everybody who complained about this show not having enough action, trust me, by the time this episode ends, by the end of this episode, you will have had your fill of action for the week. This is definitely the best episode yet, and the way they ended it makes me so angry that they don't release the whole thing at once, because I am eagerly anticipating what happens next. Like, next episode, oh wait, I have to wait a week. I have to wait a week for the next episode, and the way they ended this just made me so angry because it's a cliffhanger. I'm like, no, I want to see what happens next. The show's finally getting exciting. I want to see what happens next. So, I've been, sucked into the show since day one, but now it's really starting to ramp up as we get closer to the finale. It's really starting to show the budget. It's really starting to show the action. It's really starting to establish the stakes. I'm so excited for next week. Bravo.